If someone you've fancied over text showed up on your first date and asked, "Are you depressed? Did you also have a terrible childhood?" Or, "My dad never loved me and now I have BPD." What would you even say? You barely had 2 drinks. You were just talking about video games. So how did it go from favorite pizza toppings to daddy issues? And just when you're still processing your first date, you wake up the next morning and they've blocked you. I'm Vernon Travers. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and today we're breaking down why so many people overshare on first dates, how to stop it, and what's really going on beneath the surface. I have no idea why I do it. It just comes out. If I could shut my brain off before it came out of my mouth, I would. I felt safe for once, so I said everything, but the next day I blocked them out of embarrassment. I was just trying to feel seen, and then I felt stupid. These are versions of the same story I've heard in my sessions. And here's the pattern I've come to recognize. Oversharing isn't about the courage to be vulnerable. It's about the fear of not being seen, especially when this connection feels like it could mean everything. Oversharing is often a survival response. And for many, it's not a choice, it's a compulsion. In a 2015 study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, researchers explored what really happens to people with social anxiety after a social interaction. In the first part of the study, over 100 female college students were brought in. They were asked to engage in face-to-face conversation, something like you'd expect on a first date. What the researchers found was striking. The more socially anxious someone was, the lower their self-control became after that interaction. But they didn't stop there. In a follow-up experiment, participants were asked to give a speech about themselves, something vulnerable, evaluative, and personal. And again, afterward, those with higher social anxiety showed a clear sign of behavioral depletion. They made more impulsive choices, and they struggled to regulate themselves. Their systems were, in a sense, flooded. By the third study, even simply collaborating on a task with another person, just working side by side, was enough to cause this drop in self-regulation among anxious individuals. So if you've ever overshared on a first date, then gone home, curled up in shame and thought, "Why couldn't I just shut up?" There's a reason. Your nervous system wasn't trying to sabotage you. It was trying to stabilize itself. You weren't oversharing because you didn't know better. You were oversharing because on some level, you were overwhelmed. And that's what we have to understand about this behavior. It's not about poor boundaries. It's about depleted resources. Here's the paradox. The more you reveal, the more you feel the need to explain yourself. So you keep going, you elaborate, you justify, you say a lot without really saying anything. And you may even be aware that the other person is disinterested or may not even care. Maybe you love talking to your friends or your partner, but when you're with someone new, you get nervous. You talk and talk and talk about your life, not because they asked you, but because you don't know what else to say, because you want to be liked. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Oversharing isn't just a personal struggle, it's also a cultural one. Sociologist Ben Agger, in his paper published in the International Encyclopedia of Social and Behavioral Sciences, calls it the eclipse of privacy. We live online, we perform our pain, and for many, especially younger generations, oversharing has become a substitute for intimacy. When you don't have deep, consistent closeness in your life, you might turn to dates, texts, even strangers just to feel seen. As Agger explains, oversharing can be a form of protest, a protest against being overburdened, watched, judged, and graded, or a protest against the world that rewards performance but punishes vulnerability. So if you found yourself saying too much, too soon, too often, know this. You're not just reacting, you're surviving in a world that told you performance equals connection. But real connection isn't performative. It's built slowly in safe spaces. So what can you do instead? How do you show up authentically without emotionally undressing in the first 15 minutes? Here are some of the same strategies I teach in therapy. The first, Pause, breathe, and recenter. If you feel yourself spiraling, stop for just a second. Take a breath, feel your feet on the ground, and return to the moment. Oversharing often comes from anxiety trying to control the narrative. Instead, ask a question. That's a bit about me, but what about you? What's something that makes you laugh? Shift the spotlight. Connection is about mutual knowing, not monologues. The second, focus on curiosity, not closeness. Closeness doesn't come from unloading your trauma timeline. It comes from shared moments and slow trust. Try this. Tell me about a trip that changed your life, or what's something ordinary that makes you feel special. Let connection be a process, not a performance. Third, know your red zones. Before the date, ask yourself, what do I tend to say when I'm nervous? And what have I regretted sharing too soon? Those are your red zones. Keep them private, not out of shame, but out of respect for your own story. And for the trust it takes to share it. Also know your green zones, the safe, honest things that feel good to talk about. Books, hobbies, that weird story about your dog, how he learned how to open the fridge. And if someone overshares to you, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a follow-up video on how to gently set boundaries when you're on the receiving end. I'm Jordan Travers. I'm the clinical director of Awake Therapy. If this helped you feel seen, understood, or just a little more equipped for your next date, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.